When you think you have seen and heard it all, another horrific story emerges. One that shocks you to your bone marrow and forces you to question humanity, society, and even your own sanity. This is a chilling tale of how four teenage boys, barely old enough to understand the complexities of life, commit an act so unimaginable, driven by the overwhelming pressure of social media. If you're new here and curious about dark truths around us, hit that subscribe button and share this video to spread awareness. Now, let's dive in. In the heart of Abeokuta, Ogun State, lived a young and vibrant teenage girl named Sofiat Kehinde. She was the kind of girl everyone knew in the neighborhood, beautiful, ambitious, and full of life. But little did she know that the very young man she loved and trusted, a 20-year-old Saliu, didn't just have love too for her, but had other plans. Plans so wicked and evil that even the devil himself would tremble and shiver. It all began on an ordinary evening. Sofiat was invited by her boyfriend Saliu to an uncompleted building to spend time with her. Normally, this used to be their usual spot to relax and talk about everything that interested them. But little did Sofiat know that that particular day was a one-way trip to her untimely death. Waiting inside the uncompleted building were three of Saliu's friends, Mustafa, Lukman, and Wariz, all teenage boys between 18 to 20 years, yet they were already lost to greed and desperation. As Sofiat entered the uncompleted building, she had no idea she was walking straight into a trap. The boys had already rehearsed their plan like a ritual of its own. Immediately she saw the other three boys, especially another familiar face named Balogun. Please take note of this name because I'm going to say something about it later. She wasn't comfortable and her intuition already sensed danger. As she tried to run away, Saliu grabbed her from behind. Unfortunately for her, her strength was no match for four young boys, so they pinned her down, and in that moment, they did the unthinkable. They strangled her to death, sniffing out the life of an innocent soul in cold blood. But that wasn't the end, no. These boys had a twisted mission. With instructions they claimed to have gotten from a native doctor, they beheaded Sofiat, dismembered her full body into parts. While they removed the head and kept it aside, they put the rest of her body in a bag and disposed it in that uncompleted building. During their confession, her boyfriend Sofiat said that just like the herbalist instructed them, they got a native pot, put the head inside the pot while they prepare for their assignment. At about 3 a.m. in the midnight, these boys began to cook the lifeless head of Sofiat. The smoke that rose from the pot didn't just carry a smell of a burning flesh, but a stench of desperation and evil. But then, here is where the story takes a dramatic turn. As they carried out their ritual, a strange odor began to fill the air, accompanied by a strange noise. The smell was so intense that it drew the attention of neighbors in that early hours. The neighbors went out to inform a local vigilante group. Suspicious of what could be happening, they decided to investigate further. What they found when they caught the boys was nothing short of demonic and horrifying. As the vigilante quietly traced the building and made appearance, behold, there were these four boys walking around that pot with Sofia's burning head inside, chanting and making some incantations as if they were possessed. The vigilantes couldn't believe their eyes. In a state of shock and anger, they immediately called the police, who arrived and arrested the boys on the spot. The scene was so gruesome that even the officers were left shaking. Under interrogations, it didn't take time to get the boys' shocking confession as they spilled everything like a poorly kept secret. Two things caught our attention. One, Saliu, the ringleader and the boyfriend to Sofiat, revealed that their motivation was inspired by what they saw on Instagram and TikTok. According to him, young boys of their mates were already living their best lives, buying cars and houses through money rituals online, and he believed that this was their own ticket to wealth. I just wanted to make money quickly, he said. His voice was also devoid of remorse. The second shocking revelation was that Sofiat had been in a relationship with one of her killers named Balogun. Remember, I told you to take note of that name. However, Sofiat's guardians were uncomfortable with the relationship because Balogun had always exhibited shady behavior. After Sofiat broke up with him, Balogun manipulated his friend Soliu into dating her just 2 months after they broke up. This made it clear that the entire scheme probably had been premeditated. The most interesting part, which of course made the public's blood to boil even more harder, was their lack of remorse and empathy. They didn't look like they regretted their evil act. Note that these boys were not hardened criminals. They were teenagers, young boys between the age of 17 to 20, and yet they showed no regret, no shame. Instead, they justified their actions, claiming that it was poverty and a desire to live large that drove them to commit such an atrocity. When this news broke, it spread like wildfire, sparking outrage across the nation. People were horrified, not just by the crime, but by what it represented. A society where materialism and greed had corrupted the minds of the youth. Social media came under fire, of course, with many people blaming platforms like TikTok and Instagram for glorifying rituals and quick words. The boys were charged with conspiracy, murder, and unlawful possession of human body. But then, this story isn't just about them. It's about all of us. It's about the world we have created where social media holds so much power over young minds. It's about the system that have failed these boys and the society that continues to ignore the warnings and signs. One question we should ask ourselves is why a 17-year-old boy and an 18-year-old boy are thinking about rituals at that tender age. What do they want to do with that kind of money? What are the influences do they have that have inspired such notion? Why their mates in other climes are thinking about breaking records intellectually, creating innovations. But here, our kids, emphasis on our kids, are already desperate to live a flamboyant life without hard work. We might hate to admit it, but this is a result of our society always praising wealth without enterprise. It's now a taboo to ask someone where and how they made their money. Forget the social media space for once. Now let's look inward. Parents now pray for their teens to make it at all costs, even when they know their wealth are ill-gotten. Religious leaders no longer ask questions again. They don't demand for accountability, prudence, or purity. But verily, verily, I say unto you, if we don't tackle the rot right now, one way or the other, we will all become victims of our negligence. It's either our siblings being killed or they are the ones doing the killing. Either way, we are losing. Thank you for watching Truth Uncovered Africa. And until our next video, stay safe, stay curious,